Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
Is all in the right strategy? Some auto industry leaders sharing concerns today about overcommitting to electric vehicles.
A side conversation captured by a hot microphone is raising questions about the apology issued last night by the state's top-ranking Republican.
House managers make their case to convict Donald Trump of inciting the violent attack on the U.S. Capitol, and some of the testimony puts Michigan in the spotlight. Glad you're with us here for Local 4 News at 6. Another intense day of opening arguments by prosecutors in the second impeachment trial of Donald Trump.
House impeachment managers laying out a moment-by-moment account of the attack on the U.S. Capitol using video, police dispatch recordings, and clips of then-President Trump's rhetoric leading up to the attack.
About an hour ago, a graphic video was shown of an officer fatally shooting someone who was trying to break through the doors inside the Capitol. We have decided not to rebroadcast that video here. Earlier, Michigan took center stage, though, as Representative Eric Swalwell highlighted false claims that President Trump made about the election in Michigan and specifically Detroit.
Take a look at Michigan. Take a look at what they did with respect to counties. And then you get to Detroit, and it's like more votes than people. Dead people voting all over the place.
You know, I went almost every county in Michigan, almost every district. We should have won that state very easily. We have a similar type of governor, I think, but I'll let you know that in about a week.
He's literally telling them that there were more votes in Detroit than people.
Which, of course, was not true. Representative Swalwell then showed a clip from a few days later, December 5th, when Trump supporters surrounded the home of Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson.
Stop the steal! Stop the steal! Stop the steal! Stop the steal! You're a threat to democracy! You're a threat to free and honest elections!
9 o'clock at night, Secretary's family's inside. Protesters have surrounded her home, and they're chanting that she's a felon.
The trial is in a dinner break right now. Proceedings are set to resume shortly, and we'll carry them live here on Local 4. A hot microphone moment is raising questions about the public apology sent out last night by Michigan's highest-ranking Republican.
State Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey said he regretted his choice of words after a video surfaced in which he calls the January 6th Capitol attack a hoax, which was staged and not done by, as he put it, Trump people.
But during this morning's Senate session, Shirkey appeared to double down on those beliefs in a side conversation near a live microphone. Our Mara McDonald is live in Troy tonight. Mara, Shirkey was speaking to the lieutenant governor.
He was, Kimberly, and we spoke with the LG late today. He has some pretty strong words about what that conversation was like today. And let me show you what has developed with the Senate Majority Leader over the last 12 hours. This is a group of Hillsdale GOP members recording Shirkey at a diner. He has no idea he's being recorded. The conversation goes on for more than an hour, but this portion is raising eyebrows.
What about the DC thing? I was there. So, that's what?
That wasn't Trump people.
Not at all.
That's been a hoax from day one. That was all prearranged.
He then sent out an apology statement last night saying he regretted the words he chose and insensitive comments. You see, in addition to the hoax remarks, he talks about spanking the governor in budget talks and suggests he thought of challenging her to a fist fight. Fast forward to this morning in the Michigan Senate. Shirkey is on a hot mic and talking to the lieutenant governor.
I frankly don't take back any of the points I was trying to make. Some of the words I chose, I did. And the topic of hoax, that admit it was a hoax. It was very real. But the assignment of cause, that was planned months, weeks and months in advance by somebody that...
We spoke with Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist this evening about his thoughts on those comments.
Majority Leader to continue to traffic in that type of conspiracy theory, which is really dangerous and really deadly, frankly. I find that really disturbing because it's just the wrong thing to focus on.
Back here live, we have not heard anything further out of the Senate Majority Leader's office today. We have, however, heard out of House Speaker Jason Wentworth's office, also a Republican. He says he makes it clear that he does not share the Senate Majority Leader's views. We're live in Troy tonight. I'm Mara McDonald. Back to you.
Yeah. Okay, Mara, thank you.
All right, let's turn our attention to the weather. Still very, very cold, though maybe a little snow, but not too much tonight.
Yeah, let's check in with Ben for the very latest of the forecast. Hi, Ben.
Little snow, guys. Yes, you're right, Kim and Devin. And most of this is going to be gone in probably an hour plus, and then we're going to be dry overnight. Everything that you see is remarkably light. The lowest shade that shows up there on radar may get a few flakes there north of Flint, but all the reporting stations that are north of 8 Mile showing up dry. Flint, Lapeer, Port Huron, just cloudy skies. You do see those flakes, though, right along the 94 corridor, where we may be getting at least some very minor accumulation, but we're talking maybe a tenth or two of an inch. Here's this evening, and once we see those flakes leave us, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, midnight tonight, well, the skies are going to continue to clear, and that's going to allow temperatures to really start to bottom out tonight. Some spots will actually be milder than last night, but everybody's going to be in single digits, so we'll break that down coming up in your 4-zone forecast. Don't forget, you can get the entire 10-day outlook on the Local Forecasters app and check out some pretty cool storm pins over the last couple of days as well. We'll be looking at the entire forecast and multiple snow shots coming up in just a few minutes. Guys?
All right, Ben. Well, despite the coronavirus pandemic, General Motors bounces back with a strong fourth quarter profit, and it comes despite an 8-week production shutdown and the fact that the automaker had to cope with the impact of the Takata airbag inflator recall that was announced back in November. As a result of the increased earnings, about 44,000 hourly workers will receive a profit-sharing check of $9,000. The before taxes payout for the UAW represented workforce is an increase from $8,000, which they saw in 2019 with no pandemic. Now, a lot of GM's success and positive press in recent months comes from the buzz around electric vehicles. They're meant to be the wave of the future. But as our business editor Rod Maloney reports, some in the industry are concerned tonight that putting all the eggs in the electric basket could spell some trouble for auto workers. Rod?
Well, Devin, you know that General Motors has decided they want to be all electric in light-duty vehicles by 2035, carbon neutral by 2040. Lofty goals, to say the least, but we get a little bit more grounded notion of how all of this electric world is going to look today from this new Stellantis CEO who came to town for the first time.
Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares came to town looking to introduce himself and to see his local Detroit plants. He also spent some time today discussing the company's future. First up, the Chrysler brand, which only has a couple of vehicles under its banner, and it is likely to survive.
Certainly the reference point is we recognize that Chrysler is one of the historical brands of Stellantis, one of the 3 historical brands of Stellantis, and therefore our mindset is to try to project ourselves in the future as a matter of respect.
Chrysler's future is likely electric and autonomous, he says. It's already testing those technologies with Waymo, part of Google. Now, Tavares, who has already ended combustion engine technology at Peugeot, says the company is aggressively pursuing electric vehicles, but also believes they have to be very careful because electrification adds significant costs.
And at the end of the day, we know that our mission is to make sure that we offer our citizens freedom of mobility, which is safe, clean, and affordable.
Another note of electric vehicle caution came today from United Auto Workers President Rory Gamble, speaking at the Automotive Press Association with WWJ's Jeff Gilbert. He said he's seen hot new technology come and go, and he's a bit skeptical and concerned for his membership.
These earlier attempts at new technology that failed, because at the end of the day, when these things don't work, our members suffer.
And what he was saying there at the Automotive Press Association was that he's not skeptical necessarily of the electric car or truck, but he says he wants to make sure that it succeeds because it means jobs to his membership. So he's been talking to the Biden administration, looking for some assurances that the goals that they have set for electric vehicles will be in line with his membership. Reporting live in Southfield, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
Yeah, hard to overstate the stakes there. All right, Rod. Turning now to the coronavirus as the state records a second straight day under 1,000 cases.
Michigan reports 915 new cases and 12 more deaths. The White House is adding Michigan's top medical executive, Dr. Janae Caldoun, to its COVID Health Equity Task Force, which will work to provide a more equitable response to the pandemic. And the CDC now says a tightly fitted mask or wearing 2 masks is more effective at preventing the spread of coronavirus. Well, from where it started to where it's going, people understandably have a lot of questions about the virus and the vaccines. Our Dr. Frank McGeorge is back to answer more of your questions submitted through our website, clickondetroit.com, starting with a question about different doses. Dr. McGeorge.
Yeah, Kim. So a viewer named Tom wants to know, does the COVID shot take into account the weight variance in their shots? My wife is 100 pounds. I'm 200. Does she get half the dose? Tom, the answer is no. The vaccine doses are not size or weight based. Now here are some more of your questions.
Valerie asks, are the vaccine brands mix and match? My husband's first vaccine was by Moderna. His second vaccine was by Pfizer. Is he vaccinated? Should he just go get the second Moderna or get the second Pfizer? The answer is that he is done. You don't need a third shot of either vaccine. I don't know how he received different vaccines between the first and second shot, but that's less than ideal. Nonetheless, the CDC guidance is that when 2 different vaccines are inadvertently administered, the person does not require additional doses. This situation highlights the reason everyone should be sure to keep their vaccine card from the first dose to be sure you receive 2 of the same vaccine. Angela asks, can you contract COVID more than once? The answer is generally no, at least for a while. The immunity you develop from being infected should protect you for at least 3 months. We don't have enough information yet to be able to say for sure how long immunity lasts beyond that. Also, I say generally no because there are case reports of people being reinfected. While this appears to be uncommon, variants might become problematic. There's developing information that vaccines may not protect as well against the South African variant, B.1.351, and if the protection from vaccines is incomplete, it's possible the protection from having been infected by COVID Classic is also incomplete.
Now, I also want to point out that although it might turn out that infection with a different variant might be possible after a vaccine or even a prior infection, it's likely that there would at least be some protection from more severe disease.
I'm curious, Dr. McGeorge, does it mean that we might need a booster shot for different variants of the virus maybe later down the road?
Well, you know, Kim, that's something that vaccine manufacturers are already considering. Fortunately, the mRNA technology actually makes it much easier to update a vaccine if it's necessary. But right now, the current vaccines appear to be effective against the variants that are circulating, at least widely in the U.S.
Sure. All right. As always, Dr. McGeorge, we appreciate it.
All right, still ahead, not even a pandemic can slow some people down. A local student just ran the fastest mile of any American high schooler ever. That's not the only way he challenges himself, and you're going to meet him when we come right back.